Doug. Honey, you wouldn't hurt me, would you, sweetheart? Sweetheart, be reasonable. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
Woohoo!
Okay, hello, Hot Wampa, episode 13, The Baker's Dozen.
Unlucky for some,
Unlucky for some. Unlucky for Paul this week.
Yeah.
Poor fella, he's got a bit of a rotten cold at the moment, so I'm afraid you're just going to have to put up with the dulcet tones of me and Mark trying to hold this show together.
The dynamic duo, yeah. So obviously we'd like to wish Paul all the best and hope he will be returning with us soon.
Yeah, I mean, we had hoped to cover in Star Wars 4 episodes of the Clone Wars animated television series. The 4 episodes that we were going to cover were The Lost Ones, Voices, Destiny and Sacrifice. And they're 4 episodes that heavily deal with the Force and the tie-in and really fleshes out the picture for the main trilogy film, well, all 6 films as we know them at the moment. So we thought that would be worth going over. Without Paul, though, I don't think we could pay it justice, so we're going to put that off until we've got Paul back.
Yeah.
So that's on the back burner for the moment, but we will cover it.
They're particular favourites of him. And I know they deal with Yoda a lot, don't they? Going into exile, things like Dagobah.
Yeah, it explains a lot why he goes into exile and why he takes to philosophy and why he realises there's a new hope regardless of who wins the war and all this, that and the other. Mm-hmm. So it addresses that bigger issue.
So it'd be good for our listeners to take a look at them and have another chance before Paul returns, and we obviously cover them in the future as well.
Yeah, what point we'll cover in the future? I mean, we record again in a fortnight. Whether we'll have Paul cover those then or not, I don't know. I mean, it depends where we are on Star Wars news. We could get a wad of more Force Awakens stuff on the way by then.
Yeah.
So it might be a case of delaying it till we can put them in, but we will cover those episodes at some stage in the future. Like I said, I just didn't want to cover it without Paul here because it's, you know, he's our encyclopedic walking fountain of knowledge when it comes to Star Wars, and we couldn't pay it the same justice that he could. So we'll knock that one on the head for now, and we'll just cover what lighthearted and general Star Wars news that we do have. Some of it's stuff that listeners have sent our way, and we'll have a good look at that. What else we got? We've been in the Standard.
I know, we are set in the Standard, I think, Dave.
Instead of reporting on local news, we are local news.
Yeah, well, I think it's thanks to Ben Jolly, really, who picked up the story and sort of decided to run with it. And he got in contact and asked for additional information. I referred him to our Twitter account where there was Paul's story, which is about his illness and you know, but unfortunately it was a year old. So his son Ethan is actually 4 years old, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Not 3 as reported. But apart from that, I think it generally, you know, we all went to Ely College, although not at the same time.
No, you and me did. Paul's 3 years younger than us both, but yeah.
Yeah. And it, you know, it was appreciated, as Dave said, that normally we're speaking about local news. This week we made the news, and it's been quite nice to be a local celebrity. You know, I've had a few people come up and pat me on the back kind of thing.
I think we should milk that for what it's worth. I mean, I've had a couple of people say to me about it. Our plumber, Kevin, he came round on Friday because we've got a broken shower tray in one of our bathrooms, and he came around to fix it. And the first thing he said when he came in through the door, "So you're famous then?" Mm-hmm. And he'd mentioned he'd seen it in the paper, and he's also a listener. He started listening to us about the same time as we did the Running Man episode, and he was commenting about that and having a chuckle about that. So,
well, that's quite a good name for a plumber, the Running Man, isn't it? You know, just to keep your taps going.
So Kevin pointed that out to me, and I went up the petrol station this morning on the A10, and I went in there and I went up to the counter to pay for my petrol, and the lady in the petrol station said, "Was that you in the paper the other day?" So obviously We've got a local celebrity.
Nice. They didn't call you Hot Pumper, did they, as you were...
No, nothing like that, no. But I think we should get some business cards made up saying, oh, is that you I saw on a paper? Yeah, and we can just, hand it over with all our download links, check us out, we're free and all the rest of it.
One per discount card or something like that.
We could do. We've had quite a bit of feed activity, because obviously we control our own podcast feed, which distributes out to all the points from where you can get the podcast, whether it be Stitcher or iTunes, and it counts the amount of times our feed gets what's called pulled, and then our feed gets pulled whenever somebody streams us to listen to us or downloads us from any place. So we have noticed an increase in activity on the feed since that article went into the paper. So there's every possibility that we could be talking to now new listeners that have come to us via that route.
Yeah.
So if you are one of those new listeners, welcome aboard.
Yeah, and just, so new listeners know that the door opens both ways, doesn't it? And as older listeners will know, we always appreciate stories, ideas, suggestions. Please keep us informed. Post it on our Facebook or Twitter account, or if you see us at a petrol station.
You never know, we crop up all over the place, the most unusual places. But yeah, it was an interesting story. I mean, I don't know that the overall gist is right in what it says about the podcast and what have you, the structure of the podcast and what the podcast is about. But the inspiration for it actually goes back quite a few years, and before Paul got ill, and me and Paul used to work with each other, and we'd both been listening to various Star Wars and film podcasts and pop culture podcasts, and at the time we had talked about doing our own, and this is going back 7 or 8 years, long before Paul was diagnosed or ill.
Right.
And we talked about doing our own then, but we never really got around to it until a few years ago. And a friend of ours started his own podcast and asked us to come on to it, and it didn't quite go according to plan. And I think what we wanted to do with his podcast, he didn't want us to do. He had a different agenda, so he said to us, well, you can't do it, I can't do it, I haven't got the time to do it. So we kind of set out to do our own, and that was kind of the genesis of Hot Wampa. And you came on board pretty much straight after that first episode that we clumsily stumbled our way through, not knowing what we were doing. But then Mark came on board. I think you were straight in from the second episode.
Episode 2, yeah. So, and it's been a pleasure ever since. So
yeah, and having Mark on board really has helped us out a lot, because whilst me and Paul are pretty good in our respective fields, I think Mark's pretty much management of the social media side of Hot Wampa and that interaction and finding links and knowing people to talk to, and that has really helped out and helped to flesh out the podcast, because I don't think without Mark we would quite be where we are today. So it is a team, and we will miss Paul this week.
Definitely will, yeah.
And I know our listeners will miss Paul this week. I was saying earlier to Mark, it's something perhaps I should be ashamed of, but I do sometimes actually forget how ill Paul is. We get him in here, and we'll get him on a topic, and he'll go off, and he just knows his stuff. His head is encyclopedic, and he never ceases to amaze me with some of the stuff that he knows. I don't know where it's stashed away, because I'll sit here listening to him talking about a topic that we're on. I think, I didn't know that. Where's that come from?
No, every podcast, I think I learn something from Paul.
Yeah,
and there's a passion there that when he doesn't only sort of present the information, he does it in a way that sort of makes you want to find out more yourself. So
yeah, and it's just that enthusiasm that Paul brings to it, that dynamic sort of chemistry he brings to it. He's that laughter and that when we come over something humorous. He is part of what fleshes out and makes Hot Wampa. So we'll miss him this week, and we know the listeners will miss him too. So like Mark says, all the best, mate. Get yourself right. We know you're not well. On the subject of Paul as well, his wife Claire posted on her Facebook status this morning, and I've asked her for permission if I can quote what she posted. And her post was, 3 years ago today, Paul was diagnosed with mesothelioma. 2.5 years ago today, he finished chemotherapy, and since then the disease has been stable. So on this 3rd anniversary of a truly horrendous day, we have a lot to be thankful for. Long may it continue. So, it's like I said, sometimes I forget, with his enthusiasm and where he comes in, quite how ill Paul is.
Yeah.
But, no, get yourself right, mate, and we'll get you back in here soon.
Yeah, looking forward to that time.
Yeah.
And we can dedicate this one to the big man himself. So,
what else have we got in housekeeping?
Well, as you said, a few shout-outs. I mean, plenty of people have been posting things on our on a Facebook wall this last month, haven't they?
Oh, that's true, yeah. We've had Stephen Waterhouse has been back again, the guy that sent us the DJ Food, the tracks go off in this direction music mix.
Yeah.
He posted on the Hot Wampa Facebook page on the 30th of September. Hello chaps, I don't know if this has any relevance on your podcast, but I just caught my boys, who are 3 and 5 years old, playing Spider-Man and his amazing friends. One was Iceman and the other Firestar. The circle of life is complete. That is exactly what I played in the playground. Anyhow, what are the cartoons that sum up your childhood? This tune by MF Doom is full of Spidey samples. Have a listen. So he sent us that. I mean, we know Stephen likes his mixes and his music, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that's quite a good question. Not strictly sci-fi, although our childhood cartoons, I think, our favourites, some of them would have been sci-fi.
I think, my top 3 were probably, sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah, a combination of the two. But it's a good question, and we've put that question to ourselves, and we've come up with a short list of cartoons. But, Stephen, because we know you like your music, we thought we'd put a bit of a novel twist on that. So we will answer your question, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the episode to get it, because what we're going to answer it with will close the show. So hang around, Stephen, and you'll find out what our favourite childhood cartoons were. You
will be salivating at the thought of it, Stephen. It's a great job that Dave's done. So.
It's a bit of a nostalgic moment, yeah. We've also had Lawrence Nicholas contact us about a story, she's put it on the Hot Wampa Facebook page. And it's to do with Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the two of them, quite famously, I mean, as far as I know, they never had seen eye to eye, or, it's been quite a few years where they haven't appeared together, have they? And I think this story is just about their ongoing sort of non-relationship. I don't know if there's any aggression or anger there anymore, but...
Yeah, I mean, this story's come from the Daily Mail, which is... I mean, personally, I don't rate them as a newspaper. I think they're a politically biased newspaper. But we will quote a bit of what the Daily Mail has said. Actors who play C-3PO and R2-D2 have not gone along since the start of Star Wars. R2-D2 actor Kenny Baker once branded co-star rudest man I've ever met. Anthony Daniels now disputes that both have been in every Star Wars film. Latest Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens is released in December.
And I guess, Anthony Daniels is appearing. Is Kenny Baker appearing?
I think he's credited, but it goes on a bit more. The battle began a long time ago in a galaxy not so far away, but it seems there is little chance of the feud between Star Wars duo R2-D2 and C-3PO ending any time soon. The actor who plays the taller, shinier of the two robots has revealed he and his co-star have not seen eye to eye both figuratively and literally for the entire 39-year duration of their film franchise. So as long as you and me have been alive, Mark, this pair ain't really been getting on. In fact, R2-D2 star Kenny Baker, 83, once branded C-3PO, or Anthony Daniels as he's otherwise known, the rudest man I've ever met. Mr. Daniels, 69, dudes, had previously remained tight-lipped about the pair's fallout, but couldn't resist the opportunity to stick the boot in ahead of the latest Star Wars film's release. It's a bit of bad order, isn't it? He's a guy who's only 3'8".
I know, and 83 years old. I mean, I saw him in the summer at that convention I went to, and he doesn't look too well at the moment. So I can't imagine. I think he's got other things on his mind, rather than just Anthony Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Kenny Baker in real life. I've seen Anthony Daniels at Star Wars Celebration. Well, me and Paul did at Celebration Europe in 2007, but I've never seen Kenny Baker. According to the Daily Mirror, industry insiders say that when Episode 7 The Force Awakens opens in December, the duo will be the only actors to have appeared in all 7 Star Wars films. Such an accomplishment has made the robot actors millions, but it appears Mr. Daniels doesn't quite agree with the suggestion that both have appeared in every film. He's not actually on the set, Mr. Daniels told the Daily Mirror. I haven't seen him for years. His name is on the credits as a sort of. I don't know, a good luck charm, a courtesy, he's a talisman. Mr. Baker, whose people have insisted that he is very involved, has previously accused his fellow robot of calling him a little man for being only 3'8" in stature. Hitting back, Mr. Daniels said he's been saying unpleasant things about me, I just don't comment. Star Wars The Force Awakens is set 30 years after the events of 1983's Return of the Jedi. Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew and Kenny Baker are back. So thanks for sending that one.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence.
Like I said, it was a dispute. I was aware that the two didn't get on from articles a while back, but it sounds like their relationship's nowhere near getting patched up.
Well, I mean, when you hear Kenny Baker speak, he seems to be like an everyman kind of chap that you'd like to have a drink with and discuss Star Wars. Whereas Anthony Daniels has always been he seems a bit theatrical, a bit of a lovey. He comes across as a professional actor. So
yeah,
maybe they they certainly don't see eye to eye. That's sure.
I think that is a background difference between the two. I mean, Kenny Baker is obviously from quite a blue-collar background, isn't he? Whereas, not that there's anything wrong with that, of course he's not, and we all are. Whereas Anthony Daniels is perhaps, gives me the impression that he's perhaps been to drama school or stage school. He's quite a refined character, perhaps came from a slightly higher class cast as such. Do you think there's perhaps a bit of friction there in the way they get on?
Well, also professionalism. I mean, Anthony Daniels provides the voice for C-3PO, and Kenny Baker is inside R2-D2, so maybe what Anthony Daniels is saying, that he could just sit in a tin can and that's his performance, where he has to actually act and deliver lines.
I think that's a bit uncharitable, though, don't you?
I do indeed, yeah.
Like saying you could get any 3-for-8 guy and stick him in a dustbin and that's R2-D2. I think that's, yeah. Well, it's not new news to us, but I thought it might be interesting to go over. What else have we got on Star Wars?
Well, I posted a picture yesterday of the new BB-8 droid from The Force Awakens, and it's made from 2 pumpkins, one slightly smaller than the other one, and they've been painted up, and it's quite a good job, actually. And I didn't realise it was pumpkins till I had a closer look. And the picture's on our Facebook page at the moment, so it's a good idea as we're in October at the moment. If you fancy decorating some pumpkins towards Halloween. I mean, personally, I'm not a pumpkin fan. I don't know about you, Dave.
We don't really do Halloween as such around here. We normally get a few fun-sized bags of Snickers and Maltesers and what have you in here, and if kids come round and make the effort, we'll hand them out, but we don't really go overboard on it, sort of thing.
Well, I know that pumpkins are the most wasted vegetable. I think over 90% of pumpkins are wasted.
We've had the Sown Pumpkin Fair recently, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right.
And wasn't the winner on that something like 600 kilograms?
Yeah.
There's a picture of the winner with this thing, it's a huge pumpkin. I mean, how on earth is one person or a family going to eat that much pumpkin?
I know. You could live in it, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. You could carve it out and make a Cinderella's carriage out of it. I mean, it's massive. I mean, I don't know. But,
half a dozen Kenny Bakers.
Half a dozen Kenny Bakers. You get a few pumpkin pies out of that one, I tell you.
You would. I'm not a big fan of the taste of pumpkin either. I prefer butternut squash.
Well, they're similar, aren't they? Similar family, but yeah, it does look good. What never ceases to amaze me with The Force Awakens at the moment is, let's not forget the film's not released. We've only had a couple of official trailers and a bit of a behind-the-scenes thing. Yeah. People are painting pumpkins, you've got remote control BB-8 droids, you've got an entire toy range, people are releasing customised and their own artwork for it. It's a film we haven't even seen yet.
Well, we know what George is like with merchandising in the past,
It's not just George, though, is it? It's like the pumpkins and a lot of the artwork that's out there. It's the fans.
Yeah.
They've already grabbed this thing and they're running with it. Let's just hope that this thing don't get cancelled at the last minute, because there's a lot of disappointed people out there.
I don't think they'd do that now.
But it's amazing, that hype that's around it. What about this X-Wing that's in London?
Yeah.
The artwork.
Is it beneath Chiswick Bridge, I believe?
It was Southwark Bridge.
Oh, Southwark Bridge.
Southwark Bridge.
And it was there until I think Friday evening at 8 o'clock, and they washed it away. But it's basically the Death Star sort of trench with an X-wing going down there to take the shot. And somebody's painted it with chalk, I believe, on the underpass at Chiswick Bridge. Southwark Bridge, sorry, and it looks really good, doesn't it? And you've got people walking alongside it, and you've probably seen these 3D paintings on the floor before, and they have to be obviously planned pretty well with the perspective. So it actually looks like as you're walking up to it, I've seen some with a big hole in the ground and water going down and stuff like that, and they look really authentic. So.
Yeah, I saw one once of like a cityscape and the skyscrapers on it. It's hard to explain. It's almost like one of those visual trick things. The skyscrapers were all at different angles to each other.
Yeah.
But it was like the I don't know how to describe it. It was like the picture kind of rotated. It kept going like a panorama.
All right.
Despite the fact it was like a visual trick when you look at it, like a magic eye picture. Or something. I've called up a little bit about it. A 3D artwork which celebrates the Star Wars movies has appeared underneath Southwark Bridge. The painting depicts a key scene from the original Star Wars film when Luke Skywalker flies his X-Wing fighter plane down a trench on the Death Star. To unveil the artwork, the artist drafted a miniature Darth Vader to inspect the 49-foot, 15-metre long 3D painting. The installation, created by 3D artists Joe and Max to celebrate the UK launch of the Rise Against the Empire playset, comes complete with sound effects of ships, laser fire and droids. It will be available for fans to experience until 8 PM on October the 2nd.
So it's long gone now.
It's long gone, so the local authority has washed this away, has it?
Yep, scrubbed it.
It looks too good, doesn't it? In an otherwise grey, dreary industrial setting, like under that bridge. And someone's really added a splash of colour, and it looks really good. It just seems such a shame to wash it away, doesn't it?
It does seem a shame, but I think in London these things do pop up and then they're gone.
Yeah.
But there is always something else to take their place. One of my main problems in London at the moment are the amount of Yodas about. I don't know if you've seen them, Dave.
Yodas?
Yeah, Yodas are everywhere.
Are they?
Basically, there's a guy in a light brown sort of sheet. With a Yoda mask, and it's the one that they look like they're levitating. They've got the stick.
Oh, right.
And there's 3 or 4, maybe more, around Trafalgar Square, down the South Bank, and there's been quite a few Yoda wars recently.
Yoda wars? You mean there's different Yodas having a bit of a turf thing?
Yeah, a turf war between the Yodas. So, so if you're in London, look out for them. They'll beckon you over and they want a photo with you, and you're supposed to toss a couple of quid in a pot for them.
So it's a bit like when you get squeegees working at traffic lights.
Yeah.
There's a bit of competition between them. This is my patch.
That's
we've
right.
got Yoda's fighting it out. What does our own Yoda say about that?
Size matters not, for my ally is the Force. You must feel the Force around you.
There you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if these guys actually did a Yoda impression, but I don't think most of them speak English, which isn't a problem, but, they just don't seem authentic to me.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's just guys dressing up in a costume and trying to bung a few quid out of it, which, I suppose that's, it's one of those things, and it's the sort of thing we see in the modern world today.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what else have we got on Star Wars? Anything?
Well, some exciting news for fans of Admiral Akbar, because, there have been a few spoilers released this week that he is going to appear in Episode 7. I think J.J. Abrams is a bit disappointed because he wanted to keep it as a surprise, but the English actor, who I've forgotten, is actually been seen leaving the set in the costume. So yeah, he is appearing. So we do know Admiral Akbar has survived these 30 odd years. So that's good news.
Yeah, I'm just trying to call up the article at the moment. I'm trying to do Paul's role here, which it's not straightforward.
Well, I think Admiral Akbar, the makeup was amazing, wasn't it? When you look back at it, I love the eyes. They're big sort of yellow eyes, weren't they? And that final battle, the second Death Star, that was really good. So I look forward to seeing him. It'd be interesting if they, obviously, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker have aged quite considerably in those 30 years. I wonder if Admiral Akbar's aged at all, if they just keep his makeup the same as it was.
That's right, it was a Cinema Blend article. Can you remember a while back when that behind the scenes trailer for The Force Awakens came out and we ran a little bit of a special on it?
Yeah, that's right.
And they actually showed you on that trailer a Mon Calamari, the species that Admiral Akbar comes from, head, like the prop and puppet makers, or I don't know what the word would be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They make them...
The model makers as such that were building Admiral Akbar's, a Mon Calamari head, and we were saying at the time we weren't sure that was actually supposed to be Akbar, but it looks very much like it could be Akbar, if what you're saying is true. The trouble with Cinema Blend is to get to anything on their website, you have to get all the advertising cookies to disappear.
So Admiral Akbar's from Mon Calamari, or is that the planet?
Mon Calamari. He is a Mon Calamari. That's the name of the race.
Is he? Is it the same planet as Squidface?
Squidface, or as he's actually known, Quarren.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both come from the same planet.
Yeah.
In the expanded universe story, the Quarren race, obviously they're both intelligent, sentient races, but the Quarren race is almost like an underclass to the Mon Calamari. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The closest equation I could make them up would be like they're like the Oompa Loompas in Charlie's Chocolate Factory. They're the guys that kind of do the underground dirty jobs, while the Mon Calamari sort of occupy that higher intellectual and financial tier of society as such. But
I can imagine them, coming home at night, like covered in squid ink. And, good day, darling. Oh yeah, they had me down there again, cleaning out the engines and stuff. Bloody hell.
Yeah. Could this be a trap? J.J. Abrams brought the big three back for its Star Wars The Force Awakens, finding room for Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. But now we are hearing of another original trilogy icon. That's a bit strong, isn't it?
I've got a T-shirt. I would say he's an icon.
It's a trap.
Focus your attention on the Star Destroyers.
Focus off. Well, I'll start sounding more like Mr. Bean then, didn't I?
I've always liked Fuzzy Bear. He's a regular Frank Oz's, Dave.
That's also not Yogi Bear.
Or Yogi Berra.
Yeah, Yogi Berra. We expect to return. That's right. Admiral Akbar will have a role in the first Star Wars movie in years. Tim Rose originally portrayed Akbar in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. He was speaking with The Australian, I guess it's a publication or something, about not the one Australian person, about the upcoming The Force Awakens, and reveals that he will have a role in Abrams' sequel. However, when asked about details, he admitted, as you might expect, that he couldn't say anything, and it basically pisses him off. It's an early week, we might be swearing anyway.
Yeah, I think there will be some bad words this week.
Yeah, Rose vented. I'm very frustrated by that out of the need to be secret. We're not actually able to get everything we need to do our jobs as well as we could, and as someone who has been doing it for 35 years, I find it very frustrating. What I can say about the new movie is that if you were a fan of the original three, you're going to absolutely love this one to bits. And
that's been coming out a lot, hasn't it, from actors saying that, it's loyal to the original and we're going to love it. So let's hope we do. It's not long left now.
Yeah, recent comments made by Star Wars overlord Kathleen Kennedy, I know this is a bit of a stern title for her.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Solidify the fact that The Force Awakens directly connects to Return of the Jedi, so bringing Admiral Akbar, or whatever his new rank will be by then, back into the fold makes sense. And he absolutely became a prominent figure in Star Wars lore in the extended universe, appearing in comic books and video games that surfaced after Jedi. Naturally, he also popped up in numerous memes and historical talk shows. I think he's in Robot Chicken and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Isn't there a bit where he's sat at a restaurant table with, what's her name? Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
And he orders something off a menu and she orders calamari and he calls her a heartless bitch.
I like Admiral Akbar, especially the Star Wars figure, because you could turn his head right round and it would look like a whole different race. I like that. But he did wear flares, which I'm not sure. 30 years in the Star Wars universe, have they changed the fashion, do you think?
I don't know. I mean,
And wearing white, if you're a half squid or whatever you are, you might be able to ink yourself at will, just, oops, I need to change my trousers again. You can imagine.
Well, Mon Calamari was in the expanded Star Wars universe. It is an aquatic world. It's a completely waterlogged planet, and both the Mon Calamari, which Akbar is a member of the race, and Squidhead, the Quarren, they're both a sort of amphibious aquatic species themselves, a bit like the Gungans in Phantom Menace. So they're along that line.
In Attack of the Clones, what's the name of the planet that Obi-Wan visits to check on the clones?
The cloning planet.
Yeah.
Oh, starts with a K, I think.
Right.
Oh.
Kenoba. Is it Kenoba?
Kaminoa?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Camino,
yeah, because that I immediately thought that maybe we were going to see some of those on that planet,
Yeah, well, that's the sort of environment that Mon Calamari is in the expanded universe and stuff like that. So, yeah, they are an aquatic. But, yeah, great. I mean, they're going to bring him back. I don't know what role he's going to have now. He was an admiral before, which seems to me to be quite high up in the old chain of command.
Yeah, would he be the Admiral of the Fleet? I mean, he was Admiral of the Fleet. What would he be now?
Sort of Chief of the Defence Staff type rank, sort of a Whitehall type, perhaps.
Well, my wish that he had retired and opened a snack bar, but, I don't think that's going to happen.
That would have been great, yeah. I'll have the calamari, please. What was it?
Oh, that's that 6 squid you owe me. I've got some other news. Apparently, Gordon Joseph Levitt is up for episode 8. And he may be appearing. There's all speculation at the moment. Paul asked me, do I know what character he may play? I mean, let's be honest, for episode 7, we don't even know who everyone's playing yet. So, it's just speculation. I mean, he's a good actor. I like him. Apart from in The Dark Knight Rises, I didn't like that too much when he was the Robin character.
Okay, so he's like the boy wonder, is he?
Well, yeah, at the end it sort of alludes to that, which, I was disappointed by that movie. So, but generally, I think he's in a film now called, is it The Walk, where he's a tightrope artist, and he's going across 2 skyscrapers.
It's sort of a bird on a wire, a man on a wire type vibe.
Yeah, but without the Goldie Hawn. What about Looper? Have you seen Looper, Dave? He's in that.
Is that Bruce Willis effort?
Yeah, he plays like a young Bruce Willis.
Like a sort of quantum assassin, a quantum hitman.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. I think I've read the book, and I know sort of basically.
I'm just trying to think of a film that recently he's been quite good in. Inception, he was in that, wasn't he? He was quite good in Inception. But yeah, I think he's an interesting actor, and he sort of fits in with the Star Wars universe at the moment, where he's not too big, but a decent actor that can slot into a character. So I'm sure we'll have more news for that coming up soon. Still no new episode 7 trailer. I know we've all been sort of waiting for that. When do you think it's going to drop?
Oh, you think we are going to get one more before the big release? Yeah,
there will be one more final. We just recently had a final Spectre James Bond trailer this week. So I think they normally do like final edition, final trailer.
Getting perhaps a little bit away from Star Wars here in regards to that Spectre trailer. Have you heard the song for the new?
I haven't. No, I've been looking for it, but it was quite difficult to find online. No,
it's been all over
Dave's
the radio.
shaking his head here.
No. I would have said give it back to Adele. She had a good crack at it. Yeah, no, it's not good at all. I don't think it's good. I think it's too subtle. It's too slow. It's too morose. I think we're expecting, with this being the return to Spectre, that we'd get something a bit more pumped and action packed. But no, not at all.
What's your favourite James Bond theme?
My favourite James Bond theme? Oh my god! Again, that's getting back to like picking your favourite child. I quite like the instrumental to one of Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
Shirley Bassey did 3, didn't she? I mean, they're okay.
I
don't know.
I'll have to say You Only Live Twice, Nancy Sinatra. I really like it. I remember flying into Hong Kong once and I had it
on... Didn't Robbie Williams sample some of that in one of his songs?
Millennium, he sampled that, yeah. But I remember flying into Hong Kong and it's got a sort of oriental theme to it, and just coming into Hong Kong on a plane and, You Only Live Twice. Brilliant.
Well, I quite like the one to Casino Royale, although I can't quite remember who did it.
Some chap, isn't it? Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know. There's been so many. I mean, it's just hard to pick one. I quite liked in the one Aha did in the 80s.
The Living Daylights.
That's it, the Dalton effort.
Yeah, that's
Dalton
right,
film. Yeah, there's been a number, really. I mean, there's Live and Let Die, obviously.
Live and Let Die.
They're starting to come to me now.
There we go.
Stormy rock song.
But I have to say, Carly Simon.
Oh, nobody does it better.
That's great. And I mean, the Roger Moore opening to that is brilliant, with the Union Jack parachute and that.
I think that's a sort of quintessentially iconic part of British history, isn't it? That, although there's some terrible green screen going on there when he's suspended beneath it, isn't it? That's definitely 70s weatherman technology that they're filming out.
But when he's with the Russian girl in the cabin and she says to him,
but
Barbara
James, Bach, is it?
No, it's the one before. She's like a blonde lady. But James, I need you. So does England.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, under those circumstances, I'd be forgetting about England. And but there you go. Yeah,
true patriots.
Yeah, true patriot. But yeah, I mean, that's where we are. I'm not impressed with the new Bond theme, I have to say. I quite like the one to Casino Royale. I've not heard the one that was used on Quantum of Solace. This is obviously the modern Bond. I thought Adele's effort was outstanding.
Well, it says a lot that it's the most memorable. I know it's the last one that, before this film.
Yeah.
But I think I can still hear it in my head if I think about it. But the other two before, no, they don't really come.
Yeah, so but I think that's a mile away from Star Wars, but
it is, yeah. Apart from Moonraker, I think we said we might cover. Is kind of sci-fi in the future, maybe in a showcase.
You could argue that You Only Live Twice as space elements. Isn't that the one where the capsules are getting grabbed in orbit?
Yeah, that's right. They're stealing them in space. Aren't they?
And is it Diamond Forever when the diamonds are being stolen to go into a satellite weapon system?
Okay, so yeah, many of them.
Isn't the GoldenEye a satellite that releases an EMP burst in orbit and can knock out the UK's electronics, and hence the reason why Bond's been sent out to get the controls to it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So we could argue there's a space aspect to more than Moonraker in Bond.
But the Moonraker ending...
Wasn't Dr. No some attempt to distract missiles using radiation from the Caribbean?
Yeah.
On part of the American space program.
And what about Goldfinger?
Wasn't that to irradiate gold stocks or something, therefore to make whatever his name is, Auric Goldfinger's his own gold more valuable?
Yeah. Nothing to do with space.
Nothing to do with space.
Okay, sorry.
But we've had quite a few Bond films that have crossed over into the space theme.
Yeah.
I don't know, should we do Moonraker or something? It might be a laughter.
Moonraker is pure cheese, isn't it? But I mean,
we know why Moonraker got done. Look at the year it was done in.
Exactly.
It's not even remotely like Fleming's actual novel, Moonraker, which is to do with it's got the character names. The Hugo Drax guy, he's an industrialist who comes up with a new form of ballistic missile, and he threatens to turn his missile on London, basically. So it's very far out from the original story, but we know why Moonraker was made. It was just to get Bond into space, basically.
What's the one-liner at the end? I never remember it, with Drax, like he sends him out into the airlock.
I think the CIA astronaut, the lady, is it Holly Goodhead, the character?
Yeah.
She runs up and says, "James, where's Drax?" And he says something to the effect of, "He took a giant leap," or something like that.
Yeah, and
he always had a great one-liner, didn't he, Roger Moore?
And I always think it should have been he needed some space or something like that. You know, he needed some space. Raise of the eyebrow, liver spots.
Yeah.
Love Roger Moore.
Brilliant.
Still going. I think he's in Cambridge this month as well, doing a sort of.
He's doing like a tour, isn't he?
Yeah, like question and answer session, talking about the past and.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's a bit of a shame, really, that he came to Bond as late as he did. I think because isn't Roger Moore older than Sean Connery anyway?
Yeah.
So for an actor, you could argue why Sean Connery, probably by the stage of You Only Live Twice, and his heart's not really in it.
No.
The first 2 or 3 films, you can't stop watching him. He really compels you to watch him. But by the time of You Only Live Twice, he's, dare I say it, looking a little heavy as well.
Yeah.
He's not physically looking the role, and Diamonds Forever, I think he was just cashing the cheque, wasn't he?
Bambi and Thumper.
Bambi and Thumper, yeah.
Yeah, Diamonds Forever. And then, of course, the unofficial.
Never Say Never Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which was basically just a remake of Thunderball, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I think it's a bit of a shame that Roger Moore didn't get the role earlier, but yeah. But we're not Bond cast.
No, we're definitely hot wumper. And have we got any more Star Wars news before we move on?
I don't personally have any, although I'll probably think of some more later, but not at the moment.
Okay,
should we have a look at Total Recall?
Total Recall, yeah.
We've alluded to that, and I think it's probably quite relevant because we've got a lot of news on the Red Planet in for real at the moment, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here with Mr. Mars, speaking about the Red Planet.
My surname is a Scottish interpretation of the Roman god.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. The origins of my surname, my family name, are in Northumbria, where it's not such an uncommon name. But we've had the recent discoveries that they believe they found actual active hydrology on Mars, running water and stuff, and Mars has been in the media itself a lot lately, hasn't it?
Yeah. And
so
this one, it just came across quite relevant for this time, didn't it? So.
And after doing 2 Bill and Ted films back to back, which 2 sort of teen comedy type movies, I wanted something with a slightly higher body count.
He was baying for blood. He wanted some violence and some bad language. So here we are with Arnie again. Our third Arnie film, isn't it?
Yeah, this is our third Arnie film. Disclaimer, this is an Arnie film, so from this point forward, if there's sound clips that we put into the episode later, or one of us drops an F-bomb, it stays in. Normally we'll bleep it out, but from this point forward, anything can happen. It was a bit of Stingray. Anything can happen in the next half hour. Well, that's certainly true from this point and forward in the podcast. So there is your warning. If you're listening with your dear old 90-year-old grandmother, or your kiddies running around the living room, you might want to stop the podcast now or put your headphones on instead.
Slip them on.
Yeah, you might want to. Because we might fucking go for it once we get there.
He's off already.
Yeah. Let's break the duck now. I'm relaxed.
You'd said duck, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Total Recall. It's a 1990 American science fiction action film directed by Paul Verhoeven, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rachel Tickerton and Sharon Stone. The film was loosely based on the Philip K. Dick story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. It tells the story of a construction worker who is having troubling dreams about Mars and a mysterious woman there. It was written by Ronald Shusett, Dan O'Bannon, John Povil and Gary Goldman, and won a Special Achievement Academy Award for its visual effects. The original score, composed by Jerry Goldsmith, won the BMI Film Music Award. They're names that are quite prominent in the shi-fi film genre.
Jerry Goldsmith, yeah.
Jerry Goldsmith, I think, was did a lot of the Star Trek scores, didn't he?
Yeah.
We're talking about is Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. Why am I associating those names with Alien?
Shusett was a screenwriter. He worked on Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, also Three Jack and Prometheus. So, he's...
Three Jack, is that the Mick Jagger effort?
Mick Jagger, Emilio Estevez, René Rousseau, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Jerry Goldsmith as a composer for the Star Trek scores as well as this, and of course our old friend back from RoboCop times, Paul Verhoeven. So this is what you call sci-fi pedigree, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
This film was made by thoroughbreds.
It was
basically
a sci-fi dream team, really.
Yeah. The film was one of the most expensive films made at the time of its release. Although estimates of exact production budget vary, and it's not certain whether it actually held the record, Rambo 3, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Die Hard 2, Die Harder are considered the most expensive films released within the production period and year of release of Total Recall.
Have you got some budget info? I got $65 million.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they said. I mean, when we compare that to RoboCop and Predator, you know, what we talked about quite recently, that's a lot of money, isn't it, for those days?
Budget 50 to 60 million.
Yeah.
So box office it took 261.3 million.
Which is great. Yeah, great profit.
Well, if you're going to put that money in, you want some return, don't you?
And we were just speaking about it earlier about how much input Arnie had in this, really, and a lot of that money should have gone to him, I guess, because you know, it could have been a whole different film if it weren't for Arnold.
Yeah, the production company was Carol Code Pictures. It was distributed by TriStar Pictures. It was released on June the 1st, 1990 in the United States. I believe our release was probably later.
Yeah.
Running time of 113 minutes. At a budget of 50 to 60 million and a box office return of 261.3 million. Plot. In 2084, Earthbound construction worker Douglas Quaid is having troubling dreams about Mars and a mysterious woman there. His wife, Laurie, dismisses the dreams and discourages him from thinking about Mars, where the governor, Velos Cohagen, is fighting rebels while searching for a rumoured alien artefact located in the mines. At Recall, a company that provides memory implants of vacations, I could do with one of them, Quaid opts for a memory trip to Mars as a secret agent fantasy. However, during the procedure, before the memory is implanted, something goes wrong and the story diverges between a question of what is real and what is hallucination. Apparently, Quaid starts revealing previously suppressed memories of actually being a secret agent. The company sedates him, wipes his memory of the visit and sends him home.
Are you alright? Listen to me. He has been going on and on about Mars. He has really been there.
Use your head, you dumb bitch. He's just acting out the secret agent portion of his ego trip.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Why not?
Because we haven't implanted it yet.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
I've been trying to tell you. Someone has erased his memory.
Wait, excuse me. Someone? I mean, we're talking about the fucking agency.
Shut up!
Bob, the client's gone.
Okay. All right, look, here's what we're gonna do. Renata, cover up any memory that he's got of us or Recall.
I'll do what I can. It's pretty messy in there.
Ernie, dump him in a cab around the corner. Tiffany, you help him. I'm gonna destroy his file and refund his money. And if anybody comes asking, we never even heard of Douglas Quaid.
On the way home, Quaid is attacked by his friend Harry and some construction co-workers. He is forced to kill them, revealing elite fighting skills. He is then attacked in his apartment by Laurie, who reveals that she was never his wife. Their marriage was just a false memory implant, and Cohagen sent her as an agent to monitor Quaid. He is then attacked and pursued by armed thugs led by Richter, Laurie's real husband and Cohagen's operative. After evading his attackers, Quaid is given a suitcase containing money, gadgets, fake IDs, a disguise and a video recording. The video is of Quaid himself, who identifies himself as Horza and explains that he used to work for Cohagen, but learned about the artifact and underwent the memory wipe to protect himself. Horza instructs Quaid to remove a tracking device located inside his skull before ordering him to go to Mars and check into the Hilton with a fake ID. That's a great scene, isn't it?
Mm.
When he gets that sort of trigger device out of the suitcase, doesn't
Yeah.
he? He says, "Don't worry, it's self-guided."
Yeah.
Sticks it up his nostril, doesn't it? He pulls
And-
that thing out.
And we got some practical effects of like an Arnold bust of his head and upper body, and I mean the effects aren't too bad, are they?
Yeah, I mean, Total Recall is a bit of a transitional film between that sort of model making, set building, skilled,
Yeah.
real way of doing effects, and the CGI world that we're more familiar
Indeed.
with today. But I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more once we've got through.
Howdy, stranger. This is Hauser. If things have gone wrong, I'm talking to myself, and you've got a wet towel wrapped around your head. Now, whatever your name is, get ready for the big surprise. You are not you. You're me. No shit. All my life I worked for Mars Intelligence. I did Cohagen's dirty work. But a few weeks ago I met somebody. A woman. And I learned a few things. Like, I've been playing for the wrong team. All I can do now is try to make up for it. See, there's enough shit in here to fuck Cohagen good. Now, unfortunately, if you're listening to this, that means that he has got to me first. And here comes the hard part, old buddy. Now it is all up to you. Great. First, let's get rid of that bug in your head. Take this thing out of the case and stick it up your nose. Don't worry, it's self-guiding. Just shove real hard. When you hear the crunch, you're there. Just pull it out. Be careful. It's my head too. Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars. Then go to the Hilton and flash that Brubaker ID at the desk. That's all there's to it. Just do what I tell you, and we can nail that son of a bitch who fucked you and me. I'm counting on you, buddy. Don't let me down.
Quaid makes his way to Mars and follows clues to Venusville, the colony's red light district, which is where our famous prostitute is.
Yep.
Primarily populated by people mutated as a result of poor radiation shielding. He meets Benny, a taxi driver, and Melina, the woman from his dreams, but she spurns him, believing that Quaid is still working for Cohagen. Quaid later encounters Dr. Edgemar and Laurie, who claim Quaid has suffered a schizoid embolism and is trapped in a fantasy based on the implanted memories. Edgemar warns that Quaid is headed for lunacy and a lobotomy if he does not return to reality, then offers Quaid a pill that would awaken him from the dream. Quaid puts the pill in his mouth, but after seeing Edgemar sweating in fear, he kills Edgemar and spits out the pill instead of swallowing it. Laurie alerts Richter's forces, who burst into the room and capture Quaid, but Melina rescues him, with Quaid killing Laurie in the process, which is another great scene, isn't it?
One of the best one-liners as well.
Yeah, it's Arnie's got some great lines in this one, hasn't he? Do we get an I'll be back in this one?
I don't think we do.
No, I mean, he didn't do them in all his films, but it's certainly a thing, quite a one-liner he's well known to, and we remember that. The two race back to the Venusville bar and escape into the tunnels with Benny. Unable to locate Quaid, Cohagen shuts down the ventilation to Venusville, slowly asphyxiating his citizens. Quaid, Melina and Benny are taken to a resistance base, and Quaid is introduced to Quato, is that right?
Yeah, Quato.
A parasitic twin conjoined to his brother's stomach. Quato reads Quaid's mind and tells him that the alien artifact is a turbinium reactor that will create a breathable atmosphere for Mars when activated, eliminating Cohagen's abusive monopoly on breathable air. Cohagen forces burst in and kill most of the resistance, including Quato, who instructs Quaid to start the reactor, but Benny reveals that he is also working for Cohagen. Quaid and Melina are taken to Cohagen, who reveals the Quaid persona was a ploy by Holzer to infiltrate the mutants and lead Cohagen to Quato, thereby wiping out the resistance, so basically it's a plant. Cohagen orders Holzer's memory to be reimplanted, and Quaid and Melina programmed as Holzer's obedient wife. But Quaid and Melina escape into the mines where the reactor is located. They work their way to the control room of the reactor, and Benny attacks them in an excavation machine.
That's a funny scene.
Quaid kills Benny, then confronts Richter and his men, killing them too. Is that the one where he's got the hologram?
Mm-hmm.
That's great, though.
That is.
You think this is the real Quaid? It is.
It is.
You think this is the real Quaid? It is.
Quaid reaches the reactor control room, where Cohagen is waiting with a bomb. During the ensuing struggle, Cohagen triggers the bomb, but Quaid throws it away, blowing out one of the walls of the control room and causing an explosive decompression. While reaching for the reactor controls, Quaid knocks out Cohagin, which causes him to be sucked out onto the Martian surface, killing him. That's a great death scene, isn't it?
That is.
Oh, when he bloats up and his eyes come out.
His
like
eyes are
stalks
and the tongue. Oh, it's really good.
Oh. Quaid manages to activate the reactor before he and Melina are also pulled out. The reactor releases air into the Martian atmosphere, saving Quaid, Melina and the rest of Mars's populations. As humans walk onto the surface of the planet in its new atmosphere, Quaid momentarily pauses to wonder whether he is dreaming before turning to kiss Melina. So in his own mind, at the end of the film, he's still not sure what's real and what isn't he? But he's just got to live that moment.
I think Paul Verhoeven said that it fades to white, and that leads people to think, is it a dream? And, that's why he did it. It doesn't fade to black like at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. It fades to white as if he's kind of waking up.
Mm-hmm. Production. The original screenplay was written by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, the writers of Alien, who had brought the rights to Philip K. Dick's short story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale while Dick was still alive. They were unable to find a backer for the project and it drifted into development hell, passing from studio to studio. In the mid-1980s, producer Dino De Laurentiis took on the project with Richard Dreyfuss attached to the star. Patrick Swayze, who had recently starred in Dirty Dancing, was also considered for the role. In 1987 it was announced that De Laurentiis would make the film as the first production for his Dell company at the new De Laurentiis Film Studios on the Gold Coast. With Bruce Beresford to direct from a screenplay by O'Bannon and Shusett, the film did not eventuate, so that never really got anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
David Cronenberg was attached to direct but wanted to cast William Hurt in the lead role. Cronenberg described his work on the project and eventual falling out with Shusett. I worked on it for a year and did about 12 drafts. Eventually we got to a point where Ron Shusett said, "You know what you've done? You've done the Philip K. Dick version." I said, "Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?" He said, No, we want to do Raiders of the Lost Ark Go to Mars. When the adaptation of Dune flopped at the box office, De Laurentiis similarly lost enthusiasm for the project, although he went uncredited in the final version of the film. Cronenberg originated the idea of mutants on Mars, including the character Quato, in his screenplay.
He went to do The Fly instead, didn't he, after getting annoyed with this particular production?
David Cronenberg?
Yeah.
What, the Goldblum effort?
So if he had stuck on Total Recall, The Fly would never have got made.
That would never have happened, no. The collapse of De Laurentiis' company provided an opening for Schwarzenegger, who had unsuccessfully approached the producer about starring in the film. He persuaded Carolco to buy the rights to the film for a comparatively cheap $3 million and negotiated a salary of $10 to $11 million plus 15% of the movie's profits to star. With an unusually broad so he got some money out of it.
He got a lot of money.
$61 million, didn't he?
But I'm sure you're going to speak about the work he put in a moment. So.
Yeah. With an unusually broad degree of control over production, he obtained veto power over the producer, director, screenplay, co-stars and promotion. The first thing Schwarzenegger did was personally recruit Paul Verhoeven to direct the film, having been impressed by the Dutch director's RoboCop, for which Schwarzenegger was considered for the title role. I mean, we've been over Verhoeven and RoboCop before, haven't we? So we know of his credential. By this time, the script had been through 42 drafts, but it still lacked a third act. Gary Goldman was therefore brought in by Paul Verhoeven to work with Ronald Shusett to develop the final draft of the screenplay. The director also brought in many of his collaborators on RoboCop, including actor Ronnie Cox, cinematographer Jost Vacano, production designer William Sandell, editor Frank J. Uriost, and I'm probably murdering these names, and special effects designer Rob Bottin. Much of the filming took place in location in Mexico City and in Estudios Churubusco. The futuristic subway station and vehicles are actually part of the Mexican public transport system. Within the subway cars painted grey and television monitors have been added. The film was initially given an X rating, violence was trimmed and different camera angles were used in the over-the-top scenes for an R rating. It is one of the last major Hollywood blockbusters to make large-scale use of miniature effects rather than computer-generated images. 5 different companies were brought in to handle Total Recall's effects. The only CGI sequence in the entire film was a 42-second sequence produced by Metrolight Studios, showing the X-rayed skeletons of commuters and their concealed weapons. Only a year later, James Cameron's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, also starring Schwarzenegger, prompted a revolution in special effects with extensive use of CGI.
That was also Carlico Pictures, wasn't it?
Yes,
Terminator
it was.
2.
That bit with the X-ray scan is quite good.
It is a really good scene, yeah.
When you see him go behind and you can actually see
him jump.
firearms.
Yeah.
And that. I like the bit, there's even a bloke walking a dog through on the lead and you can see the dog skeleton it's passing through and everything. It's so well thought out, isn't it?
Yeah, it works really well.
I mean, if you looked at it today, I mean, I think that there's a documentary on it and they actually mention that anyone with home computer software could actually make that scene today, but for that time it was groundbreaking. Reception. Critical response. Total Recall debuted at number 1 in the box office. The film grossed $261 million worldwide, a box office success. Critical reaction to Total Recall has been mostly positive. It currently holds an 84% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 51 reviews. Metacritic rated it 57 out of 100 based on 17 reviews. Robert E. Byrd awarded the film 3.5 stars out of 4, calling it one of the most complex and visually interesting science fiction movies in a long time. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly gave it a score of B+, and said that it starts out as a mind-bending futuristic satire and then turns relentless and becomes a violent post-punk version of an Indiana Jones cliffhanger. Film scholar William Buckland considers it one of the more sublime Philip K. Dick adaptations, contrasting it with films like Imposter and Paycheck, which he considers ridiculous.
I haven't seen Paycheck.
No, I haven't either.
It also got 7.5 on the IMDb, and to be honest, when I read a lot of these reviews, Dave, I was quite surprised at how highly regarded it still is compared to some of the recent films we talked about that have got like 60, 65, 70%, you know. So certainly Total Recall is one of the highest rating films we've covered.
I don't know. Is it a prejudice thing? Schwarzenegger again. He's not an actor, we won't rate it high.
Yeah.
But a bit like what you said about Predator, where Arnie was actually certainly a little bit proud of Predator.
Yeah.
He actually acts quite well in it.
Yeah.
I think the same with Total Recall.
And we're definitely seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger, the businessman in this film. Like, he's taking control, and you know, if it weren't for him, it would certainly been a different film.
Well, it sounds very much like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had the film.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he put a lot into it himself, and he negotiated his own terms as a result of that. But it was Schwarzenegger that got Verhoeven and extension from Verhoeven and what have you, and Schwarzenegger, we got Dan O'Bannon and Shusett and all these other key characters involved that make... Total Recall to me is a funny film. It's a film when you sit and talk about it, it's not as big, as famous, well known or well thought of as something like Star Wars or something like that. It's not a blockbuster in the it's not a Jurassic Park, it's not a global blockbuster in that sense. Yet it's still a very good, well thought of film, and it's made with a very good pedigree behind it, the people that made it.
It reminds... I mean, I can see a lot of similarities between this and The Running Man. You know, like Arnold, I don't know, maybe it's just Arnold on the run getting chased by loads of people, you know, trying to find a resistance. And
is it also perhaps that slightly futuristic, dystopian, corporate aspect to you know, a population that's basically... It's getting blackmailed, isn't it? It's got some corrupt money-making corporation that's basically extorting people for breathable air.
Yeah.
And they've uncovered an alien artifact, which in itself is effectively an atmosphere factory. It could generate breathable air on Mars
in minutes.
And they're basically keeping that away from the population because they... Well, that's the death sequence. I mean, when Cohagen goes out and everything.
Fantastic.
And, Arnie and Melina as well go out there, and obviously we get to see the old eyes coming out on stalks and that there.
That is funny. That is great. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he plays Doug Quaid, right? Originally it was Doug Quayle.
Doug Quayle?
But unfortunately, because
he
of...
chickened out?
Because of Dan Quayle, was he sort of vice president at the time? Something like that. They decided to change it to Doug Quaid. Just about, you know, respect. I don't know. Rachel Tickerton, as you said, Melina. We've seen her in Con Air, Fallen Down, FX2, and Man on Fire. So she's in, you know,
Fallen Down. Is she the female copper?
That's right, with Robert Duvall.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good film, Fallen Down, isn't it? Sharon Stone, as we know, Laurie. I mean, she's been in a few sci-fi films. Probably Sphere was, you know, one of the biggest. Did you watch Sphere?
Based on, I think I've read the book. Is that a Michael Crichton book?
Yeah, I never saw it, to be honest.
They think they find a spaceship under the sea, but it turns out it's actually an Earth ship from the future or something like that.
I know the cast was quite good on that, but I never saw it. She was also in Police Academy 4. Probably, not exactly a high pointer for her. And Action Jackson with
Carl Weathers.
Connecting the Predator. Ronnie Cox, as you said, Cohagen, as in RoboCop, as Dick Jones, The Outer Limits, Spawn, the TV series, Time Tracks, and Deliverance. We've spoken about him before. Again, he's the go-to sort of corporate villain guy that we really like.
He certainly seems to be, doesn't he?
Still working today. So.
Yeah, Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside, Richter, he was in Smallville, X-Men First Class quite recently, Terminator Salvation, so there's a bit of an Arnie connection there, and Free Willy.
What, Michael Ironside?
Yeah,
He's been in
Free
loads.
Willy.
He didn't play Jester in Top Gun.
Yeah, and Starship Troopers.
Wasn't he in the Highlander films?
Yeah.
He's the leader in the Star Trek, the Starship Troopers, isn't he?
Would you like to know more?
Yeah, he's the guy. Isn't he? Doesn't he get his legs cut off?
Yeah.
Because I noticed I shouldn't say this.
Yeah, go on.
About the time Starship Troopers came out, I was going down to London on a train or something. I think me and Katie had a few days off and we were going just to go down and have a look at the zoo and a few museums and this kind of thing. We were going down on the train. And that was the time Starship Troopers was released. I remember going past a billboard on the outskirts coming into London into one of the stations, and it had a film built like advertising films, and it's the fact that this film had just been released. And there's Starship Troopers, and the promotional shot was the one of Michael Ironside, where I think that thing's bitten his legs off.
Yeah. And
he's kind of like over a semi-crater, his legs have gone. You can see the stumps there, and sort of bloodied stumps at the end of his legs. And there's a couple of other Starship Troopers, I think they're sort of holding him up by his shoulders.
Yeah.
And someone had graffitied underneath it, Squaddy's getting legless.
Oh,
that's one reason why Michael Ironside in that film always stands out to me.
Well, he doesn't stand up, that's for sure.
He's that sort of default. He always plays a good henchman, though, doesn't he, Michael Ironside? That sort of top henchman. He's a bit of a convincing nutcase.
He's a convincing villain, yeah.
I think the party Richter scene when he gets his just desserts is quite good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
See you at the party, Richter!
Marshall Bell, he played George or Quato. He was also in Starship Troopers, as well as Sliders. You remember Sliders? I never saw Sliders. I know it was a kind of time travel dimension film series.
I'm sorry, it's a name that rings a bell, but I can't give you anything more than that on it. It doesn't, for some reason, I've even not seen it. I don't even know the plot or anything. No,
it's one of those that probably pop up on the Sci-Fi Channel. My mum probably watched it. It's probably, the Puppet Masters, he was in that as well, which is kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think Paul was speaking about it the other week.
Yeah.
Mel Johnson Jr. is Benny. Benny is a good character. When he approaches the
is he a mutant or a Martian?
He's got 3 arms, hasn't he?
Isn't there a stage where he pulls back his own like a false prosthetic arm, and I say there's that mutated arm? That's
right.
3.
So you think he might be an original Martian?
Well, isn't there a bit when they have to turn on the atmosphere machine by putting the hand into a certain shaped receptacle?
Yeah.
And that shape of that receptacle is 3 digits.
That is. It's a typical Vulcan salute, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, for want of a better term, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Benny is an original Martian.
Or there's something Martian in him, because obviously it's a Martian race that built this device.
Yeah, so maybe he was there to protect it or something.
Perhaps we can look deeper into that. Perhaps the Martian race themselves are human, and that's a result of mutation.
That's an interesting theory, Dave.
It's an interesting theory. I bet the internet is rife with this.
We'll have to have a look for it.
Yeah, I think it is.
But with the prostitute with 3 breasts, Benny said a man would need 3 hands for that. And of course he has that.
Well, there you go then, it fits perfectly.
He must be a regular customer.
Some of the mutated characters that live in Venusville where they've not got the radiation shield and they're great. Isn't there a scene where there's some guy with like all those sort of fleshy stuff on his head and he says to Quaid or Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got a lot of nerve showing your face around here, and he's like,
look who's talking. Yeah, and that guy's Dean Norris. He's called Tony, and he was also in Starship Troopers, The X-Files, Gremlins 2 and Terminator 2.
These things all go around.
They do.
And then we've got the little short girl, the one they named Thumbelina.
Yeah.
She's quite a violent little thing, though, isn't she? Little minx. She stabbed someone to death or something.
Yeah.
At that stage, and
in her thigh-high boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is quite vicious.
She looks like she should be an extra in Time Bandits or something, doesn't she?
That's a good film as well.
Gemini is that.
Michael Champion is Helm. I think he's like the one of the henchmen. He was in The Incredible Hulk, The Hooperman, Alf, Star Trek, and The Next Generation. He's the kind of light-haired guy with the glasses, with the tracker, and he's with Michael Ironside when they're looking for Arnie.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah, he's got like square glasses, yeah, with blonde hair, and yeah.
Yeah.
Does he get it on the lift?
I don't know if he gets... Richter gets it on the lift, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know where he gets it.
He almost certainly gets taken out. I mean, do you know the body count?
Yes, it's 77.
Yeah. So he's obviously in those statistics somewhere.
Yeah, he's one of them. Poor old Arnie. I bet he doesn't really want to kill these people.
Well, there's a lot of, like I said, they're changing the rating and what have you, because a lot of people felt it was too graphically violent and that. I don't think so. I think it's sort of on par with Schwarzenegger's other efforts, personally.
I think it's that kind of humorous violence that goes with the feel of the movie. And when it was shown on television in 1993 on ITV, they actually showed it complete, uncut.
All right, so was it Watershed, post-Watershed?
Yeah, it would have been, but I mean that's quite unique for ITV, because back then they did used to cut films quite a lot.
I don't think you want to... Total Recall is quite a rich meal. I don't think you need to get in there and chopping up and changing it. There's a little bits in Total Recall that give you texture, especially texture, not so much on Earth, but texture of that Martian world.
Yeah.
Like when he's arriving and that there, and you can see the red skyline. I think you've put, actually, on the Hot One Facebook page as the strip picture at the top, haven't you? So
yeah, that's right.
From that.
Yeah.
The sort of red, dusty... It's a bit of a stylised palette, but it fleshes out that world and the sort of settlement there, and also the bit where he's on the train that's going across the Martian surface and looking out the window and stuff. A lot of time when corporations or broadcasters cut stuff from a film, it's those little bits of texture that don't make it through into the broadcast version, and you'll end up buying it 20 years later on some special edition DVD or something. And it's, to all credit to ITV then if they broadcast the whole thing, because those little things I always think make a film.
Adds a bit more substance, and it sort of
makes the world.
It does build it, doesn't it? Yeah. What about Roy Brocksmith, Dr. Edgemar? He was great, wasn't he? When he was giving his speech about if you shoot me, this whole world will collapse around you, and blah blah blah. Yeah. He died in 2001, aged 56. He starred in Babylon 5, and of course, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
It all comes around.
I totally believe you, dude. We talked about Dean Norris as Tony. So, what you've got some favourite lines from the film, Dave?
Oh God, this is a great one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You think this is the real Quaid? And of course, the divorce one. I might open this episode with that. That's a great way to bring
the divorce one's brilliant, isn't it? I've got relax, you'll live longer.
Yeah.
And you're so kinky. No.
What have you been feeding this thing? Blondes.
Yeah, blondes. Slim, athletic, voluptuous.
You are not me. You are not you. You are me, and all the rest of it. Yeah, he's great Arnie lines in this one.
Get your ass to Mars, obviously.
Yeah, that's a
Hauser to Quaid. I haven't got the tagline from this one. I couldn't find it. I don't know if you've got it written down now.
I don't know. I know I haven't got a tagline now. There is a trailer, isn't there, when they sort of briefly talk about losing your mind or having memories implanted and stuff. And it's like Schwarzenegger's head slowly rotating against a light or a simple coloured dark background, isn't it? And there's this like a narration over the top of it, and then it goes into scenes from the actual film.
Yeah.
I don't know whether perhaps that narration, I mean, I could put that narration in here.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Your mind. It is the center of your life. It is everything you hear, everything you see, everything you feel. It is everything you are. How would you know if someone stole your mind?
Whether maybe that's the closest we've got to a tagline for Total Recall, but if it is, it's quite a deep tagline, really.
Well, also, we're talking of trailers. There was Arnie, I believe, sat down with the producers and actually said, look, the original trailer is shocking.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to get the idea of what the film is all about. We need to do it again. And he convinced them to reshoot a trailer, which obviously helped somewhere along the line to bringing all that money in, and he's 15%. So...
But Arnie himself was on a bit of a roll at the time, though, wasn't he? I mean,
it was king of the box office. Then followed, Terminator 2 coming out, a couple of years after.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm not a big Terminator 2 fan, I have to confess. I love the original. I love the original. That the relentless machine that he was, unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I thought, it was a bit fluffy, the second one. Let's make him a nice guy and help out Edward Furlong with his drugs problem. But Time Out places Total Recall at 47 in their top 100 sci-fi films, between The Fifth Element and Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, great films, obviously, but I don't know whether that would be its place. I'd perhaps put it a little bit higher, personally.
Yeah, it's pure sci-fi, isn't it? I don't know.
Like we said, when Arnie's acting has often come in for a bit of a knock, but a bit like Predator, I think he acts quite well in this. I think he does a staggering role, a bit where he's restrained in the seat for the mind treatment and stuff, and I think he acts quite well in it. I don't know what you think personally on that.
I agree. I mean, you get what you pay for with an Arnie film, don't you? And I think you get some one-liners, you get great action, good stunts, some good death scenes.
Well, the bit where he's disguised as the woman with the head.
The woman. I mean, he looks poor, doesn't it? But as you said, this was before CG, and it was where they were still using miniatures and practical effects, and it was. We accepted it at the time, didn't we?
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, the bit where he throws the head at those soldiers and that starts talking to them, and it doesn't say surprise or something like that, and then just explodes on them.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
How long are you going to go to Mars? 2 weeks. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, what else have we got? You said about the Oscar. Almost everyone became ill on the set, aside from Schwarzenegger and the writer Ronald Shusett, because they both had private caterers making their food for them.
That's right. Schwarzenegger had his own chef preparing food that was flown in directly from the United States in his trailer. I think that goes back to lessons learnt on Predators, when so many of them got what we would describe today as perhaps traveller's diarrhea. That the sanitation, the water, the washing.
This was in Mexico, wasn't it? Yeah.
It wasn't quite up to what we would consider Western standards, and obviously they'd gotten ill eating and drinking the local cuisine, the local fry-ups and what have you. Schwarzenegger didn't, because like we said, he had his own chef preparing food that was flown exclusively in his trailer for him. And the only problem Schwarzenegger had was when his own chef got ill from eating the local fare, and then he had to eat with the rest of the cast and crew, but somehow he still got away with it.
Well, I can remember being in Mexico and getting quite ill. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I was trying to be well behaved, so I decided not to drink beer, just to, drink...
Which is a bit of a daft choice in a country like that, because it's one of the few things that probably isn't
going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so I started drinking the Pepsi from the machine, which is obviously plumbed into the local water supply, and needless to say, I was sitting on the toilet for 6 days straight. I did go snorkeling with one guy who... untimely vomited underneath the water, where quite a few fish came over to investigate, and that was a bit of a scary moment. So yeah, I can sympathise with these guys on the set.
Did the fish eat it?
They did eat it, yeah, and I guess recovered burritos and recycled enchiladas. I fit one fish to another. It's not going to be too bad, is it?
I've got a story very similar to that, but in my case, it was going out to look at a reef from a glass bottom boat out in Florida after a fried up breakfast and the emotion of the sea and looking down through the glass bottom. But I think your story there is gory enough for 1 week, and I think perhaps we should save mine for another week.
Well, I had a bit more hair back then, Dave, so you can imagine getting back on the boat, you're finding bits of sweet corn where you never thought you'd find them.
Yeah, I think the Atlantic Ocean had a bit more hair that week when I but we'll leave that this week. Yeah.
Kurtwood Smith, as we know, turned down the role of Richter as it was too similar to Clarence Bodicker. Paul Verhoeven wanted him on board, but yeah, it would have been very similar, wouldn't it?
Very similar. They even look very similar, don't they? Obviously, he hasn't got the sort of rim glasses and that we associate with the character of Bodicker in RoboCop and have you, but very similar type roles, very similar looking characters, probably very similar actors.
Yeah, and obviously, as a director, probably thought, yeah, it's a perfect fit. But Kurtwood Smith decided against it. The film is set in 2084 AD because Verhoeven was worried about Blade Runner was set in, I believe, 2019.
Right.
And he said, look, it seems a bit too close, and we can see that things aren't changing enough to sort of, And with Blade Runner, as we can see, we haven't got any flying cars or
replicants. Replicants. No, it's no. The cities, I think, from Blade Runner, perhaps you could cross over somewhere. Nighttime Hong Kong, nighttime Tokyo, Shanghai, that sort of Malaysia, that sort of environment. But otherwise, I think the world of Blade Runner is a long way off, isn't it?
There's a sequel in the pipeline, isn't there, I think?
What, to Blade Runner?
Yeah, Ridley Scott's working on it, and Harrison Ford will be in it. And, I don't... They've announced sequels to Prometheus recently. And I don't know if... I mean, Ridley Scott's in the news, as we've spoken about, for The Martian, which is meant to be a really positive, upbeat film compared to a lot of his bleaker-looking films like Alien and Blade Runner. But I don't know about sequels. Why would he go and sort of sign up for Blade Runner 2, Prometheus 2? I don't know if there's more story to tell.
Is The Martian, is it basically, it's Robinson Crusoe, is it?
Yeah.
The guy stranded and alone, and it's his tale of survival.
Like Castaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of film.
What's he got for Wilson then?
Potatoes.
Potatoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a botanist, isn't he? So he grows some vegetables.
I honestly don't know.
But I think it'd be a good film. He's doing well, I know that much. And it's the big film before Bond, which comes out later this month.
And again, getting back to Mars.
Yeah.
Get your ass to Mars and all the rest of it. Mars is very prominent in the news at the moment.
It is.
This all seems very relevant to us.
Although Quaid's home city is never mentioned, the telephone number suggests it's El Paso, Texas. And there is a name badge you see, and it has El Paso, I believe, written on later in the film.
Of course, they all speak with a blunted Austrian accent.
Yeah, exactly. You said about...
Is that where he is when he's having the chat with the co-worker and they've got like pneumatic drills or something on the construction site? He's talking about having a memory implant. Okay.
That's it. That's El Paso. And what about Johnny Cab? Johnny Cab was quite a unique vehicle, wasn't he?
Please strap yourself in. Yeah. I could see why he would get angry with that, rip it out and go for the joystick himself, because I would do the same. That'd be out the door, mate. For some reason, Johnny Cab whistles the Norwegian anthem. Yeah, tell you what that thing makes me think of. Is it the Laughing Sailor? You used to get in seaside resorts where you'd put your 10p in and this dolphin. That's what I think of when I look at Johnny Cab. I don't know if that's deliberate that it's supposed to look that way, but that's certainly what I look at and think of. So yeah, Johnny Cab. I mean, who's your favourite character? Is it Benny? I don't know really. How many kids did he have? Was it 4 or 5? He lies, doesn't he? Yeah, Benny makes up the truth to suit his circumstances in the moment, doesn't he? The character. Yeah. I don't know really. I really don't know. Michael Ironside, I like it. He's a good actor. I've liked his roles in a lot of things. Obviously, Arnie himself. We're all a bit of an Arnie fan. This is my favourite Possibly Sharon Stone, it's my favourite Sharon Stone film, and I don't like Sharon Stone at all. Whether that's I don't know whether that's her performance, whether it's just because I'm simply a fickle male and let's face it, she's not exactly difficult to look at. Well, she was doing a lot of bodybuilding, and she appeared in Playboy at the exact same time, because, it helped promote the film and promote herself. She did... she's fit in this. She's in shape, isn't she? You see her toned. Yeah, really. She did Basic Instinct a couple of years later with Paul Verhoeven, didn't she? Mm-hmm. In this one, apparently he wanted her to show a bit more flesh, but she refused. And, of course, in Basic Instinct, she shows quite a lot of flesh. Yeah. No, I think she should have done it for Total Recall myself. Yeah. And what about a remake? Did you see the remake with... Colin Farrell, Kate Beckinsale, etc. I have not seen the remake. No, I haven't. It seems to me to be a film that, unlike Total Recall, what we're talking about now from 1990, that has passed the remake. I don't hear anybody talking about it or mention it. I do listen to a number of film podcasts like Kermode's and film critic podcasts and what have you, and I have to admit that I can't remember listening to his review of the remake of Total Recall. For some reason, it's bypassed me. Yeah. Has it bypassed me because other people found it unremarkable and nothing that they've said about it has stayed in my mind? The only thing that sticks in my mind, I haven't seen it either, is people say that it has nothing to do with Mars. Is it? Is it part of it set on Mars? Does it still follow the Philip K. Dick
I don't believe
short
it
stories?
does. I don't believe it does. I think it's just about the implant of memory. I don't think it goes to Mars at all.
Oh. Like I said, I've never actually seen it, so I can't really comment on it. All I know is that for some reason, perhaps somebody needs to replant memories of Colin Farrell's, one of the easiest names I've had to get my tongue around today, into my mind and see if I can remember the film, because I don't know, it just doesn't stand out to me. For
Well,
some
it
reason.
seems 20 years after Total Recall, you remake it. I don't know. Remakes are rife, aren't they? But we can go back to Scarface and Ben-Hur in the 1930s. So Hollywood has always remade films. Let's not forget that. But yeah, it's not a film that I'm going to rush out to see.
No. I mean, honestly, it doesn't stand out to me for some reason. I'm aware it was made, but I'm not aware of what anyone said about it or the response to it. I've never really looked at it.
Yeah. Interesting, this one is another one that Patrick Swayze missed out on.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 of our films we covered, Patrick Swayze seemed to miss out on the role.
Well, he was kind of too busy doing the chick flick thing, wasn't he? Doing dancing and all the rest of it. But yeah,
like Dirty Dancing, that's a seminal favourite for many ladies I know. But you've got a 40-year-old bloke with a 16-year-old girl. It sort of just doesn't seem right.
No. It's Disturbed, I think. But no, he has come up for several roles in several films that we've talked about, hasn't he? And he's not, like you said, he's not featured in it.
No.
Other than Dirty Dancing or Uncommon Valour, I can't think of what else Patrick Swayze's in.
He's got to be Ghost.
Oh, yeah, another chick flick though.
Another chick flick, yeah.
I quite like Uncommon Valour when he gets beaten up by that fat bloke.
Yeah,
That's
Uncommon Valour's good. Yeah,
Gene Hackman, fantastic actor.
We spoke about that at school. I can remember.
Is that the one where there's a scene in it where they play "Sunshine of Your Love" by Eric Clapton?
Yeah, that's right.
And some of these guys, like Vietnam veterans, have got a few psychological issues, and there's this bloke called Sailor, and he's out in the middle of nowhere dancing to it, isn't he?
And Gene Hackman's son's a prisoner of war, isn't he? And he assembles a team to go in to get them.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good film. I like it.
He succeeds and rescues some MIAs, but his son's not amongst them, is he?
No, that's right.
Yeah,
I'll have to revisit that one. I'm not sure if it still live up to how I remember it in 1990, but we'll give it a look.
Well, it's not a bad film. All the characters in it are a little bit flawed and have their problems and stuff, but yeah, it's a good, enjoyable yarn, I think. I don't know if we've got much more on Total Recall.
No, I think we have recalled as much as we can on this film.
Yeah, I think we've gone into this, really. We should have had more memories put in our own minds and been able to cover it. No, that's not a bad crack at Total Recall, is it?
No, and it's well worth a watch. Please watch this over the remake, because I think this is... it represents the Philip K. Dick story pretty well, but you've got an Arnie version here where there's a lot of violence, a lot of fun. They didn't predict the internet, another futuristic film that hadn't seen,
where we were going.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. But yeah, that's it for Total Recall. I
mean, let's not forget with Total Recall, we talk about it as being an Arnie film, and it is an Arnie film and all the rest of it. And you've got the one-liners, like you say, the excessive violence and all the rest of it. But let's not forget with it as well that he actually had a lot of input into the film.
Yeah.
It was him that's responsible for bringing Verhoeven to the film and so on, and a lot of creative control over the film. And like I said, all fairness to Arnie, I think it's a good effort. It's a good film.
Yeah,
it's an enjoyable film.
I agree.
So we better get on to some local stuff, local news as per usual, which might probably appeal possibly more to our Ely Standard lately listeners, because that's where a lot of this comes from.
This is what you've been waiting for.
Yeah, this is the build-up, so we better get this right. This one I don't think comes from the Ely Standard. I can't remember where else. It's an online post or something like that, so I'll follow the links through. Anyway, but we'll get on with it. Police hunt men in black. I don't know, that's Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Who ram-raided Whittlesea service station but left behind the ATM machine they tried to steal. A police hunt is underway for 4 men, all dressed in black, who caused thousands of pounds worth of damage when they ram-raided the service station. At about 2:55am on Tuesday, the men using 2 trucks, a forklift and a JCB targeted Dell service station Whittlesea, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. But their target, the station's ATM machine, was later found in the debris of the building. So they've gone in there with 2 trucks, a forklift and a JCB and still failed to get the actual fucking ATM out of the building.
Well, let's be honest, this is heavy machinery, and I mean, it takes a bit of planning to get this much equipment together, doesn't it?
Yeah. A red car, possibly an Audi, was seen leaving in the direction of the Dog in a Doublet pub in Forney, Cambridgeshire, police said.
Detective Inspector Dave Murphy of Cams Police said, obviously they've used a lot of brute force with the JCB to smash through the wall. Several members of the public called us. I think the offenders were disturbed and they made off leaving the JCB and stolen vehicle here.
Disturbed in many ways, I think.
I like the idea that the offenders were disturbed. They've got a forklift, a JCB and 2 trucks trying to get this ATM.
Do it quietly.
Yeah, can you just be make a little bit less noise?
What is it with ATMs? I mean, there's been a spate of these recently, hasn't there?
I don't know. I mean, the main thing with the ATM recently was getting the camera in there and the card reader, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. That was sort of this complicated or sophisticated way of stealing, wasn't it? Just waiting until somebody put their details in and bang, you've got access to their accounts. But this is like a return to old-fashioned, just try and nick the
like
thing,
a proper heist, yeah.
You know, like this is the modern equivalent of sort of stealing the collection box from the church on a Sunday, isn't it? But it's the ATM, so
that's right.
Thousands of pounds on it.
Do you think they're just really hard to break into, you know, once you've got it? Because maybe they've got like ink pads and stuff like that in there, you know, what do they call it, like these exploding ink things? I don't know, but...
Well, they're pyrotechnic cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're actually set off by like a firework, those things. Yeah, where I work for a company that makes sales display and sales cabinets and stuff for shops and that. And we actually make some sales display units for cosmetics and perfumes and that, but for really expensive brands. And when these things go into the shops, obviously the shop assistant or a manager or whatever, it has to unlock these things or enter a combination to open it to take this bottle of perfume out. And some of those units, we don't make them now, the ones we used to make for the really expensive brands of perfume, they all had that system in them. Like basically it's an ink vessel with what's like a firework or a pyrotechnic cordite charge in it, and if you try to breach the case it blows up, because there's a guy at work actually had his hearing ruptured because he was inside working on wiring and didn't disarm this thing, and it went off whilst his head was inside.
Wow.
And the guy basically just came out deaf and with a blue face, and with his ink was like... There's another guy where I work, and I've got to be careful because some of the guys where I work actually
there might be lawsuits connected to these things.
Andy, one of the other team leaders at work, actually had this guy in the bathroom, and he's covered in so much ink they couldn't actually see if he was cut or bruised or damaged from this explosive device where his head had gone off next to it. So the actual managing director walks around while Andy's got this guy in the gentleman's loos with his head in a basin, constantly ramming it in a sink full of water to try and wash this ink off his face, just so they could actually see if he was injured.
Yeah.
So not only did this poor guy get his head blown up, covered in ink, he then got this other guy...
He got waterboarded.
Basically trying to drown him. So, yeah. But yeah, like you say, I mean, there's printers in there, there's printer rolls in there, there's obviously all the electronic software and hardware that links the machine up and everything. So yeah, I mean, there must be quite a bit to get through just to get to the cache. I don't suppose the cache is in a receptacle close to the surface, is it? That's
no, it's going to be too easy. It's going to be in the core of the actual machine.
It's going to be fed from something hard and deep inside the machine, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and then even then they still left the machine behind. I mean, they got all this heavy plant in the forklift and the JCB and 2 trucks and just didn't take it with them.
Yeah, and you imagine returning it all to Ely Tool Hire the next day, you know, explaining what you used it for.
Yeah, well, they left some behind. The JCB and the stolen vehicles were left behind, so... Yeah, the building has been badly damaged. Fire services intended to close the station down as it's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if it's a petrol station, you've got structural damage in there with the pumps and the petrol and everything. So, yeah, there you go. Ram raided. We'll see. What do we think?
Well, as I said, I've seen 2 or 3 of these. There's one in Roydon, I think, recently as well. So
for the ATM.
Mm-hmm. And I think in that one they left it, or they found it just down the road as well. So.
Oh right, it sounds. Do you think this is the same gang?
Could well be.
The police are still looking for them. The men in black, as it terms them here.
G-men. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept thinking about Will Smith's song when I was reading this. And I don't know
what Wild West?
No, Men in Black. And I just. I mean, they were probably hoping to go to Miami afterwards.
Yeah.
But, they haven't done. They're still in the Wild Wild West or the Wild Wild East.
Well,
yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm sure there'll be another one in the next couple of weeks.
It does seem something of an old-fashioned type of crime, though, doesn't it?
It does.
In these days of cyber criminality.
Something like the Lavender Hill mob. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys were planning this thing in a smoky back room somewhere in some pub or something.
In Bethnal Green.
Here's the JCB driver. Here's the forklift driver. Here's the fixer. You know, and here's the Audi driver. We'll head off towards the Dog and a Doublet pub, and we'll get out with the cash machine and all the rest of it. But it sounds like there's quite a
like you say, a big investment in plant and equipment, and they never even got it.
Well, they probably have withdrawal symptoms now, won't they?
So we got that. We'll sort that one out. And the only other local news, because I know you've got a rant you want to get on.
I've got a rant, yeah. I have.
Is this one actually? They say never work with children or animals, but a camera crew from the BBC were at Ely Cathedral on Sunday. It was not today, but previous Sunday, for its annual pet service and blessing. A menagerie of animals, including a 54-year-old tortoise, alpacas, Daisy the donkey, and a pet ferret, led in by owner Chloe too, were blessed at the service, despite the cathedral having to issue a health and safety warning to pet owners. The annual gathering of creatures was filmed for popular BBC show Songs of Praise, and presenter Aled Jones was at the service. Cathedral bosses had issued a warning to owners to please be aware that being together with lots of other animals may prove stressful for your pet. The warning was issued after pet owners were left disappointed earlier this year when the Cathedral and Wood Green, the animals charity based near Huntington, made an announcement their 2015 service scheduled to take place in May had been axed. But the pets were perfectly behaved according to organisers. What do we think to that? Incidentally, as we're recording that, it's getting broadcast on Songs of Praise tonight.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Get your pet blessed. Is it silly? This makes me think of the sort of thing you see in these Hollywood documentary type rubbish, the Kardashians and stuff, and people take the poodle to get its hair done and all the rest of it, or have animal marriage ceremonies and stuff. Pets blessed.
Pets blessed. I mean, cats have 9 lives, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't know there's a religious aspect to that.
No, I don't think there is. So do they need to be blessed?
Well, perhaps there's a clause for the owner.
Oh, I don't know. I think there was a alpaca or a llama in there as well.
An alpaca, a llama, a ferret, a 54-year-old tortoise. I mean, it sounds like the start of a bad joke, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Start reading it.
It sounds like Noah's Ark before we begin.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave. I mean, you know, it's nice, but is it all for the cameras? Is it all for Songs of Praise? Did Aled ring these people up and say, bring your sheep down? You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, well, it's the flock, isn't it? They call it, the congregation.
Yeah.
I don't know, is it getting a bit silly? Obviously the animal's not aware it's being blessed, all that, you know, the dog, let's say you take your dog down to get it blessed, all that sees is a cat and wants to chase that, slash up one of the columns inside the cathedral and wonders what on earth is going on. I mean, it seems a little bit silly to me that we've got to this stage.
See a couple of ducks going around in the holy water, things like that, you know. I mean, who's going to clear up after these animals as well, you know?
Well, that's a very good point. I should imagine it's quite slippy down there.
Yeah, it is on those tiles, you know.
Yeah, I wonder what's happening with the cathedral. We've got base jumpers coming off it, we've got animals getting blessed and actually running the religious ceremonies along with Aled Jones downstairs. I mean, the place sounds like a right, you know...
It sounds like a Blue Peter set, doesn't it?
It's all kicking off there. We just need the elephant to walk through and someone have to go and clear them.
Where's Valerie?
Off the nave floor.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's
Down
not...
ship.
I like the fact that they're taking exotic animals into the cathedral. I mean,
like an alpaca.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not what you expect to see every day, is it?
No, not really.
Alpacas and base jumpers and everything. It's all happening here. It's all kicking off here. Wasn't there some author bloke got attacked in Ely recently?
Yeah, I heard about that. He's a famous writer, isn't he? I can't remember what he...
No, I can't remember his name, so you can't be...
No, he's not. Well, he's famous in the writing world, but I don't know. But he was attacked walking towards the cathedral, the green to the left-hand side of it, and where Prezzo is. Was it?
Oh, I'm with you.
Is that's not Palace Green, is it? There's another name for that. Anyway, yeah. Apparently, some 31-year-old youth came over and so youth. He's 31.
Well, he's a man and he's got terrorist.
He came over and punched him. But I mean, down that part at night, there was a couple of benches there, and you do get a few of the sort of Ely down and out, sort of hanging out, drinking White Lightning together, and you know. It's no excuse though.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, from what I understand, the attack was unprovoked. The bloke was just going about his business. I mean, why do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll just walk up and smack somebody like that. What was the guy trying to prove?
Yeah, exactly.
It's senseless, I don't know, but there you go.
It could be alcohol, couldn't it? I mean, or drugs or something like that, but yeah, it's senseless.
Really? I mean, we're men of an age, we've all had a drink before in our lives. Have you ever felt like just going up and smacking someone when you're drunk? You've done some stupid things when you're drunk, but I can't even remember feeling a compulsion to be violent in any way.
No, I was once attacked by security guards in Poland when I was drunk.
Really?
Yeah. Well, basically, it was like 7 or 8 in the morning, and this town I lived in Poland called Opole, they had a big stage erected in the town square, And I went onto the stage drunk, and I found a yellow plastic Wendy house. And I just thought, hang on, I'm a bit tired. This would be quite handy to get in. So I took the roof off, got in and fell asleep. And obviously I was snoring a bit. And this security guard came up with a baton, and he was rattling like on the side of the Wendy house. And I thought it was quite funny to say, my mum's not home. He didn't find it funny. He pulled off the roof and he smacked me in the chest with his wooden baton. So, but I probably deserved that. This chap certainly didn't. So.
That probably freaked him out a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, I think
he probably thought, I'll just tap this out, something to do. He didn't expect anyone to be in there. Then his voice comes back to him.
Just moving the curtain across. I
didn't expect to see Chucky in there under the sleeping bag or something.
Well, it was almost Chucky. I had to keep it in, I tell you. Well, yeah, so please be careful at night. I mean, I know something. My parents, when they lived in England, they never used to go out in Ely at night.
Really?
In the week. I know, it's Ely. And they were like, well, we don't go out at night. There's too many people drinking, looking for trouble and stuff. But I don't think it's that bad, is it?
I don't know. Well, I suppose it was as bad when we were perhaps younger, going out of town and having a few beers and that when we were sort of 18, 19, 20 sort of thing. I think it has changed a bit since then.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't, if you went out for a drink and a good time, you went from pub to pub or something like that, or then went up a takeaway, perhaps congregated at the marketplace for a bit, and then you went home or around the mates to watch a video or whatever. Whereas now they do seem to have this sort of culture of hanging around on benches with a few cans of Stella, or, a classic wife beater, and just generally having nothing to do with just sitting around.
Especially outside the shop, like in High Street.
Yeah,
there's a group there. But down near Palace Green, where near the old fire station or fire engine house, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a group of Polish blokes who are drinking there, normally about 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
But they're absolutely fine. They're having a beer, they listen to some music, they finish their beer, they go home, and I've never had any sort of
great. What's
complaints.
wrong with that?
Exactly, because in Poland, it's very typical to take a couple of beers with your mates, go and sit on the bench, have a chat about the day at work or whatever before you go home, and you never get any problems from them, and they normally say good evening or something like that. So,
well, that's a sensible cultural approach maybe to drinking. Like you say, there's nothing in it, but like you say, these guys are, I don't know, just hanging around and smacking somebody, and I don't know where we've got to that, to be honest with you.
Well, it's a shame, because in many European cities, around the marketplace, you would have a couple of pubs or restaurants with tables and chairs outside where people could sit in the evenings in the summer.
A true classic cafe culture.
Yeah, and we've had a nice couple of weeks here in Ely, haven't we, with the weather, and late September, October weather. It's been really nice. So you can imagine just sitting there after work, having a beer, having a chat with people, having a laugh, no problems. At 10:30, 11, people put the tables and chairs away. But unfortunately, we can't have that in the UK because there are problems that follow.
I never understand that. I mean, it wasn't the idea behind extending licensing laws that they believe we'd have a more sort of continental cafe culture type approach, that it'd be a case of people enjoying up like a half on a hot night or a glass of wine with a meal or something in a cafe or a restaurant or a town square, and it hasn't quite panned out that way, has it?
No, it's never happened like that.
It's never really worked the way that it was planned, which is a shame, and I think it says something sad about us, really. It
does, because I feel like our town squares are underused.
Yeah, it is.
And perhaps people are frightened to go out at night to enjoy it. If that did exist, would we get the punters going out using them? So
it's a public space, it's for public use, go out and enjoy it, but sadly, like you say, they seem to be misused.
Yeah.
And that is a shame. Have you got a bit of a local rant then?
I walk from the Ely train station down to where we live off Beresford Road.
I know where this is going.
I walk from via St John's Road and Feuds side down there, and the store opposite the laundrette is at One Stop, I believe.
Well, it used to be Fletcher's.
Yeah, it used to be Fletcher's back in the day, and I use it quite often. But the one thing I've seen recently, lottery scratch cards everywhere. Lottery scratch cards, disused. They've been used. They haven't won the prize, obviously, and they discarded them. And if you walk between, St John's down to where we live, you'll find like 20 or 30 lottery scratch cards all the way down there. And I mean, people like to gamble and play the lottery and buy a scratch card, but fair enough, there are several bins on the way, between that. And I don't like to go on a rant, but it really annoys me that someone's paying £2, scratching off, and then just thinking, no, I'll throw it on the floor, go back and get another one. It's just really disrespectful for the local community, I find.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I feel nothing against somebody buying one. You know, go and have a couple of quid punt. You know, play your fortune. Somebody's got to win it at the end of the day.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's great. But the odds are you're not going to win it, or if you do win, you're going to win a smaller prize.
And you're going to go back and buy another one.
Yeah, but there's no need to throw the first one on the floor. Just stick it in your back pocket, and when you get home, put it in the bin. I mean, how big's a scratch card?
Yeah.
It's not like you've got some heavy burden you're walking down the road around your neck or something.
Exactly.
Just be a little bit responsible with it. You know what I mean? It's no real... You know, it's no knife in your back to carry it home and just put it in the bin or discard of it responsibly. There's no need to chuck it around.
No, and I think, we're pretty good at littering. Not pretty good at littering, but we're pretty good at putting things in the bin in the UK.
Yeah.
When we were young, remember Keep Britain Tidy and all that, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And Ely's a pretty little place, and I think people should, pick up after themselves.
Although, I mean, if you get to the classic example of where it can go wrong, when we were at Ely College, I mean, the litter control in Ely College was never great, was it? And consequently, you had a massive flock of seagulls that, I don't mean the 80s band.
With strange haircuts.
Dun, 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 that one. No, literally a flock of seagulls, and I think they were attracted to the site literally by the amount of uneaten, discarded food and fruit, and the dustbins being over and scavenging and what have you, weren't they? I mean,
pink custard.
Yes, pink custard. I mean, you got to remember that looked great after it'd been through a seagull, didn't it? That's what you call a cherry bomb.
Oh.
But, you know, they used to be all over the site. You've got to remember, we look at being 75, 80 miles from the sea at that point. You know, the seagulls shouldn't be that far inland as scavengers, as vultures almost. But they were around Ely College, and that's simply as a result, a social issue of how people weren't controlling litter and stuff.
I think one of the punishments was litter picking at Ely College.
Yeah, but you never did it though, did you?
No, you always got off with it.
I mean, I never got told off for dropping litter, and I didn't drop litter, but I did get litter duty several times as punishment for other transgressions that I'd committed during my school career, my stint in Ely College.
I'd done my time.
Yeah, I did my time. I'm out the other side of it now. I'm reformed as a result. And what I would never go around picking litter up. I'd go straight to the first dustbin with the rubbish bag, empty that dustbin into the rubbish bag, give it about 10 minutes, take it back, hand it in, say, I filled mine, and that'd be the end of it.
That's it.
That's the old trick you used to play. You never used to pick it up, did you?
And, you go to school to get educated, and there is an education. You learn how to do that, didn't you?
Yeah, well, that's more perhaps being a little bit streetwise and a bit. That's where you learn your savvy. But all the same, I think the way Ely College got with the seagulls and stuff blown about and all the rubbish and that is an example of how a place can get if you don't look after it, maintain it, and...
Well, rat watching was a popular hobby back then,
Rat numbers really high.
Yeah, rat numbers were. You could
Is there like a rat for every person in the country? Now, they say you're never more than 10 feet from a rat or something like that.
Well, I used to get a rat to go to my lessons instead of me, so I could go off to down the old... down the shop. What was the shop called again? Down Prior's Court?
Reggie's.
Reggie's shop,
yeah. Prior stores or something. Everyone called it Reggie's.
Yeah, Reggie's, yeah. And you could buy single cigarettes. I mean, I've never smoked, but...
I think it's like a social centre now, like a community centre thing.
Yeah.
They have sort of meetings in there and what have you now, but I've not actually been through that alleyway on that way for years.
It's a shame though, isn't it? I mean, I used to go and buy half a pound of wine gums, and when he'd had his back turned to get the big jar down, everyone was ransacking the shop. So I've probably done a lot to end it at that shop.
That'd be like a comedy sketch or so, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Once you'd been distracted, like the shelves would be getting... Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, you got it cleaned for free, I guess.
The popular hoodlums and smokers used to say to me, Dawsey, are you going to get some sweets? I was like, yeah, I am actually. And they all came with me. I thought I got a new bunch of friends, but I realised that they were just wannabe shoplifters who needed someone to turn his back, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's no shops around here now because we used to have the bungalow stores just up here as well, the main shop, but that's somebody's house now. Yeah, so there's no local shop. I think Fletcher's One Stop, as you were saying, is the closest to this area now, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. That's
the
all
local corner shop or the local store sort of thing. It seems to be a bit of a phenomenon of the past, doesn't it? We have these express stores and this kind of thing now, don't we?
We've got one down, is it New Barnes Road?
Oh, yeah. Right.
But there used to be one at High Barnes over that way, didn't there? There used to be the butchers and the greengrocers up that way, I believe.
It was in the middle of that square?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
But I don't think that's there anymore.
No, I mean, that's a community centre of sorts down
Probably.
there as well now.
But all these new estates up near Roswell Pits are out opposite there.
Yeah.
And you haven't got any new stores or that, any new shops.
No.
It is a commuterville now, isn't it? I mean... you know, round where we live in the daytime is pretty quiet. It's pretty dead.
Round here, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's off to work somewhere, you know.
Yeah. But, I think that's about it for us.
That is for local news, I think.
Have we got anything else to add?
Other than, you know, if you know any local news stories, I mean, there's a good one on page 15 in the Ely Standard this week. But
yeah, we made the local news. Yeah, again, you know, like Kevin, my plumber, and like the petrol station attendant, if you see any of us, say hello. We're more than approachable. And
Rob Gregory, thanks for the shout out and saying he loves the show, my ex-colleague over Cambridge. So, you know, Cambridge is as far as I've been recognised so far. So
I mean, I've only been recognised around here, but in all fairness, I haven't strayed any further than Newmarket where I work anyway, since we went in the paper like that. But yeah, we're sort of local celebrities now. Unfortunately, the main man isn't here this week. You know, he is ill. He has got a bad cold and what have you. So hopefully we wish him well, and we'll get him back in time for the next episode.
And I hear his hands a bit sore as well from signing all these autographs, you know, since we were in the newspaper. You know, he is the linchpin and we miss him a lot. So looking forward to getting back with him next time.
Yeah, it changes without him. The dynamic isn't the same, is it?
No.
There's something that having Paul here does... I don't know, his knowledge is encyclopedic anyway.
But the shoulders, Dave, when you see him laughing and we know, you know, when something funny's happened, it's great.
Yeah, it's infectious and we miss him. So get well soon, mate. I mean, we know you'll be listening and hope he gets back. For the next one, we will be doing Back to the Future, won't we?
Yeah.
Because with it being October, it is the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future. Not a personal favourite of mine, I have to say. I'm not a fan of Michael J. Fox.
Now, when you said this to me the other day, it was of interest, because I think that could make a great sort of showcase that it's not a character or an actor you're particularly fond of. I think that can be an interesting insight sometimes.
Maybe it will throw that extra view in there. I don't know, I think it's just the character of Marty McFly and the sort of characters that Michael J. Fox has portrayed. I've always found a little bit whiny and a little bit whingy. And
samey.
Very much the same. It's the same person, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether it's Teen Wolf or not. Teen Wolf could be Marty McFly. Teen Wolf and Marty McFly are interchangeable, aren't they? Isn't there another one that's some 80s, terrible 80s film we did?
The Secret of My Success.
Yep, same character. Once again, he's interchangeable.
Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
The Frighteners.
Yeah, anything else he's done personally other than a few other Back to the Future films. So yeah, I mean, I might not be as kind on that as these two as Mark and Paul will be when we get around to doing it. Oh, we had Stephen's question, didn't we?
Stephen's question. You're going to love it.
Yeah, well, we know you like your music, Steve, because like we said, you sent us the DJ Food music video and the recent one with the Spider-Man samples in it as well. And you asked us what cartoons we liked in our childhood. Like I said, we had a bit of a discussion about this about ourselves, submitted our own lists. And what we've gone and done is found the theme music and songs of the cartoons that we enjoyed during our childhood. And the closest thing I can equate this to is, you know how when you're at a marriage bash and it's the evening, and let's face it, the women always control the music of these things, don't you? You get I Will Survive, then you go through all the ABBA songs, and then somewhere in there's always thrown in the Grease medley. Well, this is the medley you would get at a wedding bash if Hot Wampa was spinning the discs. This is our selection of tunes put together in a piece of music, and nobody likes that environment. I mean, basically it's just a soundtrack that the women choose that you sit there with your dad and get slowly pissed by, don't you? I mean, you don't enjoy it. But this is how it would go if we did it. This is what we've called the Wampa medley. Now, we have to apologise for the quality of some of this. You have to remember our respective ages and the things we were into in children. Which some of this has come from tapes that are like 40 years old. And obviously I've tried to master it and clean it up as best I can. But this is what you get. So this is your answer, Steve, in a musical form to what we like. I think it's over the next 12 minutes. This is the Wampa medley, and this is the themes of the cartoons that we enjoyed in our childhood. So you wouldn't get that from another podcast for certain, not to that level of fan interaction and commitment. So enjoy that. We'll be back in a fortnight. Take care. See you soon. Thank you to everyone who's downloaded and checking us out as a result of the Ely Standard article. Like I said, it's not been the full posse this week, but we'll be back to full strength and the full sort of chemistry and character dynamic when we get pulled back. Continue supporting us, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, and see you in a couple of weeks.
Right, go Wampa Lightning.
Set free by the teen angels from his prehistoric block of glacier ice comes the world's first superhero, Captain Caveman. Now the constant companion to the teen angels, Brenda, Dee Dee and Taffy in their hilarious and sometimes scary mystery missions. Get ready for Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels.
Battle of the Planets. G-Force. 5 incredible young people with superpowers. And watching over them from Center Neptune, 7 Zark 7. Watching, warning against surprise attack by alien galaxies from beyond space. Fearless young orphans protecting Earth's entire galaxy. Always 5, acting as one. Dedicated, inseparable, invincible.
Hey, look! The Dungeons and Dragons ride! Wow, neat!
Give me a break.
I don't like this!
Whoa! What's happening?
Whoa!
Where are we? Look out!
Fear not, Ranger. Barbarian, magician, thief, cavalier, and acrobat. That was Venger, the force of evil. I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky. Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
This superhero? Sarge? No. Rosemary, the telephone operator? No. Henry, the mild-mannered janitor?
Could be. Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy. Hong Kong Phooey, quicker than the human eye. He's got style, a groovy style, and a heart that just won't stop. When the going gets rough, he's super tough with a Hong Kong Phooey chop. Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy. Hong Kong Phooey, quicker than the human eye. Tick-a-chong, tick-a-chong, tick-a-chaka, tick-a-chong, wow, wow, wow. Hong Kong Phooey, terrific!
Thundering across the stars to save the universe from the monster minds. Jace searches for his father to unite the magic root and lead his Lightning League to victory over the changing form of Sawboss. Wheeled warriors explode into battle. Lightning strikes.
There's a power that comes from deep inside of you. It's every day reaching toward the light. And you know that's a long way ahead of you. But when your wills get you there, things will turn out right. Just keep on turning, don't stop rolling. The fire's on. We're
and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar. Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Stepping softly in a danger zone. No weapon in my hand. It's just this phrase designed by man. Got me in trouble again. Trouble again. I put my life in jeopardy. In the service of my friends. I wouldn't care, but it's a dangerous affair. 'Cause I'm in trouble again. Trouble again.
It is the 31st century. Ulysses killed the giant Cyclops when he rescued the children and his son Telemachus. But the ancient gods of Olympus are angry and threaten a terrible revenge.
Mortals, you defy the gods? I sentence you to travel among unknown stars. Until you find the kingdom of Hades, your bodies will stay as lifeless as stone.
Ulysses, the way back to Earth has been wiped from my memory.
Father! Oh, Father!
You are alive, my son.